So this week, the Zimbabwe Exemption Permit Holders Association will head to court to ask for an urgent interdict to prevent South African banks and schools from intimidating Zimbabweans who face deportation when their permits expire next year. Many exemption permit holders have been informed by South African banks to provide a valid visa or permanent within 7 days, the permanent papers rather, within 7 days, failing which the matter will be reported to the Department of Home Affairs in terms of Section 45 of the Immigration Act. Advocate Simba Chitando is with the Zimbabwe Exemption Permit Holders Association, and he joins us now to tell us more about the latest court bid. And just a note to our viewers and our guest, we did reach out to the Department of Home Affairs for more clarity on the matter, but unfortunately by the time of going on air, we were not able to get a response. Simba, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. What do we need to understand about this directive from the banks? Is it unusual, and where do they get the directive from?
Thank you very much. Greetings to your audience. The Department of Home Affairs have been very clear on when the ZEP comes to an end. It was extended for the second time until 31 June 2023. The banks and the schools are thereby acting arbitrarily in asking ZEP holders to provide permits or visas now before the end of this year, knowing that the Department of Home Affairs have extended the ZEP until next year. And they also know that the case dealing with the minister's decision or challenging the decision will be heard on 11 April until 14 April 2023. So the directive, as you put it, or the position of the banks and the schools is inconsistent with what's happening on the ground, what is lawful, which is a second extension of the ZEP until next year, June, and the legal challenge, which will be heard in April next year. So this is intimidation. It is a way in which they are forcing ZEP holders to play their hand, give up their rights now, before the matter is actually dealt with in April, and before the ZEP even comes to an end. So it's totally arbitrary. There is no reason for any bank to send letters threatening to close bank accounts right now, knowing that the ZEP is going to come to an end next year.
Is it all banks, and when did they make it known that people need to provide these documents within 7 days?
Well, we've been receiving feedback from the members of the association, ZEP holders, who have come to us, and they've actually instructed us to challenge this. I've seen the communication from the banks saying that remedial action needs to be taken, and if failing which, they will take action against the ZEP holder themselves, which is very troubling, because obviously when your bank account is interfered with, your rights will come to a complete dead end. You don't have money. You can't access your own money. It is very frightening for many people, parents at this time of year, to receive communication from banks that are threatening in their nature. And it's forcing ZEP holders into a position of anxiety, stress during the festive season. Schools will be opening next year, and similarly, headmasters of schools are telling ZEP holders that we will not enroll your children for the 2023 academic year because you have a ZEP. This again is inconsistent with the decision by the Department of Home Affairs to extend until 31 June 2023. So it's what I believe an orchestrated attempt to make life unlivable for ZEP holders, untenable, and ultimately to force them out before the case is heard or before the ZEP comes to an end.
When are you heading to court this week?
Sorry?
When are you heading to court?
Oh, yes. We have filed our papers. When there will be three matters. The first is dealing with the schools. The second will be dealing with the banks. And the third also dealing with the situation while all of this is taking place. Operation Dudula have been going to places of employment, demanding that ZEP holders and all Zimbabweans leave those places of employment within a few days. And if not, they will take, their terror, their threats, whatever those threats are. I won't go into details on that. So those three matters will be, the dates for those three matters will be announced. But it will be in the urgent court.
So where the banks are sure.
Yeah, the bank, in the matter of the banks, it'll probably in about a week from now, which will be on a Tuesday, when urgent court is. But when the matter is set down, we will advise you. But it will be within a week, definitely within a week.
And then what happens in that time? Because as we understand it, the banks have given the ZEP holders 7 days. So that falls outside of that 7-day period that the banks have made known.
Well, in the case of the banks, some have given days, some have not given. There's several ZEP holders who receive different communications from the banks. This communication goes to the ZEP holders directly. So some have been given a few days. Others have not been given any time limit. But insofar as approaching the courts, there's various practice directives that the courts have, and we can only access urgent court following various procedures. And when we have a date, which should be in a week, that will be the earliest date that we can be heard. That will be communicated.
Thank you very much for availing yourself this morning. Advocate Simba Chitando is a lawyer representing the Zimbabwean exemption permit holders, and he's with the association.